everyone, and welcome to another video. When I was writing and researching my first labubu video, I was debating whether or not I should include a tangent about overconsumption, mainly the possible negative impacts of purchasing a lot of blind boxes and just owning a lot of labubu, only to then not know what to do when the trend kind of dies out. But I ultimately cut out that tangent from my video because, to be honest, I didn't want to seem like a killjoy, but also because I thought I should cover it in another video. But it just so happened that in the other labubu video, I got this really great comment that eloquently puts my thoughts into words about overconsumption and the relationship between that and labubus. The comment is by Mori Mementa, who wrote, "My only interest in labubu comes from watching videos about the craze. I jumped on the squishmallow trend a few years ago, and for the most part, I don't regret it, but it did quickly become apparent that apart from cuddling and displaying them, they weren't enhancing my life any. I worry about the overconsumption that trends like this cause. How much of this stuff will become déclassé very quickly and end up in thrift stores and landfills? It's already happening with squishmallows, and it certainly happened with beanie babies. It may behoove us to not give in to the latest must-have." In this video, I want to expand on this comment and share my thoughts about this topic. Part 1. The rise of overconsumption. It's no secret that nowadays we have an issue of overconsumption. The YouTuber Jordan Teresa often covers this topic on her video essays. She mostly talks about the overconsumption in beauty and fashion industries, but I think the same principles sort of apply to every other industry, honestly. Whether it be the toy industry, tech industry, or even the cooking industry, overconsumption is pretty much a problem all around. From my observation, there are several reasons why overconsumption can happen. First of all, corporations know what they're doing. Take Pop Mart's business model. For those who don't know, Pop Mart sells items in blind boxes, and these blind boxes they don't have any little window that shows you what the toy looks like inside. They just tell you in the back like what the toys are within that particular toy line, and then you buy that blind box in hopes that you get the toy that you want. This practice kind of encourages people to do repeat purchases, but if you want to guarantee that you get the toy that you want, what you can do is you can buy the whole collection, but that means that instead of getting just one toy, you will get like a big amount. We can see how that becomes a problem, not only in the sense that you have more toys than you actually need, but also in the sense that the overconsumption is not only with the toys itself, but also the packaging. This is not a problem that is exclusive to Pop Mart. Honestly, other corporations do encourage repeat purchases because, they want as much income as possible, obviously. So yeah, corporations definitely encourage overconsumption. The second reason why I think overconsumption happen is because of the fear of missing out. I understand that fear of missing out, or FOMO, can be an overwhelming emotion. Personally, sometimes that's something I struggle with as well. Sometimes I'll look at travel videos and I'm like, oh, I would love to travel to this place, or I'll see friends hanging out and doing some stuff and I'm like, oh, I wish I was there too. But at the same time, I think we need to start realizing that ultimately it's very hard for a person to completely feel satisfied. You will never be satisfied. The grass is always greener on the other side. I think we all need to learn to be able to sit with the feeling of like, sometimes I have to miss out, and that's fine. It's okay if you don't get to travel to these places. It's okay if you don't get to own some of these items from these collections. It's okay if you don't jump on the latest trend. Finally, the third reason why overconsumption has been happening a lot is because of social media. Social media does have an impact in increasing the feeling of FOMO, but the reason why social media for me deserves its own point is because for some people, jumping on these trends mean being able to be seen on social media. I can speak for myself because I'm trying to be a content creator over here, and a lot of the labor involves keeping up with the trends, right? Because in order to get views and engagement on your post, you need to create relevant and timely content. But even if you don't have aspirations to become content creators, just being acknowledged and getting likes or getting comments on social media already feels nice. So jumping on this trend usually involves you purchasing like items in order to be in on everything. In the other Labubu video as well, I talk a little bit about how owning Labubu, it's sort of like this social currency, right? And so I just feel like the same thing is happening, but it's amplified even more on social media, because on social media you can quantify the acceptance that people are directing towards you, because you can see how many likes you get, how many comments you get. I think definitely social media plays such a big impact in why there's so much overconsumption. But overconsumption overall is made possible because of the increased access that we get through online shopping. Part 2, impulse purchases are encouraged nowadays. In this day and age, it is not a secret that it's become easier for people to purchase items. Products featured in YouTube or TikTok videos are usually linked in either like the Amazon storefront affiliate link, or the products are listed in the description in the videos. So it's become very easy for people to purchase whatever things that the influencers are using. And these people can purchase these products just through the click of a button. Even if the products are not linked directly, you can still Google them, and then you will find search results from like Amazon, Temu, or AliExpress, and then all these options are super cheap and you can literally get these items on the next day. This is pretty much instant gratification. I'd say back then, if you want to purchase something, it requires a lot of like time and effort. You have to go to the store, right? And because you have all of these factors to take into consideration, like this forces you to really evaluate if you need the item or not. Say I live in the 80s and I want to buy a microwave, but I live in the suburbs and then the closest store is 20 minutes by car. That means I have to think about whether or not I have enough gas to make the trip. That means I have to make sure that I have the time to commute to and from there. And then I have to think about how long it will take for me to go to the store, to peruse the store, to find the correct microwave. Maybe that will involve me talking to the shop assistant to see which microwave would be appropriate for myself, and then I have to complete the transaction, and then I have to take the microwave from the store, and then I have to put it into the car, and then I have to drive back. Personally for me, and I don't know if it's because I'm a chronic overthinker, but there's still a lot of things that you have to consider before you buy this item. I have to be very determined to purchase this microwave if I were to go through all of that process. But nowadays, you can shop from the comforts of your bed. If you feel this sudden desire to purchase something, you can literally just look them up on your phone and then click, 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 and then you will get the products, and then the products will arrive in the following day as well. Shopping has become more convenient than ever, and this convenience allows you to not really think too much about the purchase that you are about to make. So if you feel that, impulsive need to suddenly buy an item, you can act on that impulsivity just almost immediately, and you can complete the purchase just like that. These impulse purchases are taken to the next level, and it doesn't help that trends nowadays die out quickly as well. Part 3, we need to consider the implications of our actions. Regulating and thinking about my purchases is something that I am learning about. To be honest, sometimes I tend to overconsume as well. I really love plushies and action figures, and I also keep up with tech as well. So I do feel like the temptation, like, ooh, I want the new MacBook Air because it comes in midnight blue and it just looks aesthetically pleasing. But I am also trying to learn to take a step back and evaluate the items that I already have. Do I really need to purchase a new MacBook Air when my current MacBook Air still works pretty well? Do I really need the latest iPhone when my iPhone still works perfectly? Do I need to buy new things just for the sake of having new things? As consumers, we ultimately need to consider the implications of our actions and the consequences of our consumption. And I know it's not fun, but you have to do it, especially in this day and age. I think it's also important for us to think about what will happen to these items when the trend dies down. At the moment, I am obsessed with Wallace and Gromit, and a lot of people on TikTok and on the internet are obsessed with them as well because they just had a new movie come out. And then one day I saw this really cute grommet plush bag on TikTok, and I was like, I want that. That looks so cute. But then I have to think about whether or not, like, after my obsession for Wallace and Gromit dies down, will I still want to use that grommet bag? Will I just have like a grommet plush bag lying around in my house? Wouldn't it be more beneficial for me to just get like a neutral bag that I can use regardless of what I'm obsessed with at that moment? Not only is it good for my wallet, it's also good for the environment because you're not creating all these waste either. That is not to say that I don't want to purchase merchandises or I have no intentions of buying merchandises in the future. It's just if I do end up purchasing these merchandises, I need to really think about whether or not I will use these things after my obsession dies down. For example, I am such a huge fan of Spider-Man from when I was a kid. Naturally, since I'm still obsessed with Spider-Man in my adulthood, purchasing Spider-Man merchandises is fine for me because I know I will continue using the items because I am obsessed with Spider-Man and will continue to be obsessed with Spider-Man. Now the question for the labubu enthusiast, what will you do when the labubu craze dies down? What will you do with the army of labubus that you have in your household? Sure, you can donate these items, or you can sell them secondhand, or you can bring them to thrift stores. But what happens when people don't really want these items anymore? We can't just be like, oh, out of sight, out of mind. As Jordan Teresa puts it in her video essays, you can't just make them disappear just like that. Usually what happens is these items just end up in landfill. And these landfills obviously has impact on the environment. But not only that, consider as well what will happen to the local communities in which these landfills are located in. Even though this article for New University newspaper, written by Terin Ogasawara, discussed Sonny Angels and Smisky, I still think this piece is relevant for labubus. Ogasawara wrote, purchasing collectibles en masse negatively impacts the environment due to the level of production that is required for large inputs of energy, which generates a surplus of waste. Plastic packaging, often discarded immediately, is the dominant source of plastic waste, accounting for nearly half of the global total. The 80BC PVC plastic used in Smisky and Sonny Angels is notoriously resistant to biodegradation. Therefore, waste services don't recycle these toys because its cost of breaking down and processing the materials is prohibitive. So do you really need multiples of the same toy just because they have different clothes or they look slightly different? I don't want to be a wet blanket here, but do you really need 5 labubus? You literally just hang them off your bags or you just display them. You can't even cuddle them. What if you just buy one labubu and instead of buying more of them, you can support local artists who make custom clothes for the labubu because there's been a rise of artists making, handmade clothes for these labubus. By supporting these people, you can support local artists and you can also reduce the amount of waste that you make when you purchase new labubus. Again, remember, the waste not only comes from the labubu itself, but also the packaging. There should also be pressure on the corporations to start thinking about sustainable practices when it comes to their products and their services. But ultimately, these companies will focus on generating the most income for themselves. So that's why I think as consumers, we need to think about the ways in which we can be more sustainable. Again, I'm not the perfect person. I still struggle with this. I still buy things that I don't need. So I need to start thinking about whether or not, is it really worth having so many action figures? In conclusion, I'm not trying to vilify anyone out there who enjoy labubus. You are free to enjoy whatever it is you enjoy, but there's nothing wrong in reevaluating your consumption patterns, especially in owning these things. These things aren't exactly multi-purpose, like you literally hang them off your bags or you just display them at your homes. What are we doing, especially for me as well, what is the purpose of owning a lot of action figures apart from the fact that, when displaying them, it makes me happy. In terms of consumption, we need to start thinking about the way that we are consuming things and the impacts that it have on our environment. It's really hard to reverse whatever damage it is that we've already done to the earth, that we should find ways in which we can prevent destroying it even further. I'm just saying. And I just think we live in a society nowadays where it's so easy for you to jump on trends and then hop off of them, but we don't consider enough about the implications that we're doing when we're participating so much in these trends to the point that it impacts the society. Yeah, I hope it wasn't too gloomy, and I hope that the conclusion makes sense as well, because I seem to have forgotten to write a conclusion. Anyway, I will end the video here. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. I would love to know what you guys are doing in your household to create like a more sustainable living space or a more sustainable lifestyle, and also maybe sustainable consumption patterns. Please let me know in the comments and share. Maybe we can share tips. If you like this video, please give it a like and maybe consider sharing it, and maybe consider subscribing. I post shorts very often, and I post a long form video every week as well. I'd like to thank everyone who has been subscribing, liking, sharing, and commenting on my videos. You guys are awesome, and I am incredibly grateful for the support I've received. I'm not sure what else there is to say except for maybe goodbye and have a good day. I don't know. Why am I always so awkward ending these videos? Bye.